adequately address the local story. An official explanation varies depending on who you talk to. The American Travel Advisory, without any ambiguity, defines how the world now views Nigeria as a volatile space. If you also doubt that, if you pick regularly, just pick randomly some newspapers in a week, look at the front page, there is no way you will not see some trail of our level of insecurity in Nigeria. Once you pick the newspapers and you're looking through them and begin to see what is happening there. All right, so that's one that we need to take a look at and be thinking about. As a fallout of the money printing saga, I'm sure we also discussed that on the program here. Let's look at Q1 2021 Nigeria Economic Report and conduct a more comprehensive review. We focus on the rising debt profile that dates back to 2014 when the economy grew by 6.5% with a GDP of 569 billion USD, and that was a historic height. So when you look at it from 2014 up until this moment, what you see is something that is not very interesting. Fitch in January 2021 did a report, and that report warned that Nigeria's deficit monetization may raise macro stability risks. The report stated that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, had financed the budget deficit directly with about 10 trillion naira, approximately $25 billion. And Fitch also warned, and let me quote Fitch here, repeated central bank financing of government budgets could raise risks to macro stability in the context of weak institutional safeguards that preserve the credibility of policy making and the ability of the Central Bank of Nigeria to control inflation. The report stated further that the CBN's guidelines requires borrowing under the Ways and Means financing to be repaid in the year in which it was granted. The government has stated its intention to securitize balances borrowed under the facility, but published statistics indicate that the amounts borrowed have been rolled over repeatedly in recent years. In other words, we have defied our own laws consistently when it comes to the economy. We have disrupted our laws. We have refused to pay the debt that we owed in these areas. Now, in fact, the CBN was out of step with its own guidelines and has also not publicly released its audited accounts in a while. In February 2021, the Debt Management Office, DMO, under the Ministry of Finance, confirmed the level of Ways and Means financing at 10 trillion naira. As I told you, that's approximately then about $25 billion. They admitted that they had engaged with the CBN in WMF, Ways and Means Financing, since 2015 to plug the budget deficit. The DMO also announced establishment of a 10-year to a 30-year bond issuance program to refinance the Ways and Means financing in compliance with the CBN guidelines. Now, the question that remains unanswered is how the CBN, out of step with guidelines, funded 10 trillion naira to finance a budget deficit. So anyone who cares will want to understand that. You want to know how we have been financing our deficit up until this moment. You see, the CBN intervention programs on financing the local and international capital markets are well documented, and they all have legislative approval, if you understand it. And in the absence of published audited account, it is not logical to presume that CBN must have printed to support the Ways and Means financing over the past 5 years. While the doctrine of necessity allows leeway for central bank in time of economic downturn and crisis to resort to printing money, the Nigerian situation started in 2015 with the COVID-19 pandemic, and ensuring recession exacerbated our situation. I'll tell you more about this after this break. It's still the program, The Economic Searchlight, on Splash 105.5 FM, your integrity station. Stay with us. Don't go away.
One 1xBet oh, 1xBet. Everybody don sabi say 1xBet na the ogbonge place to cash out now because na dem get the highest odds, sharp deposits, ability to sell slips, bet insurance and more. Wetin dey totori body pass be say you fit make money from things like virtual games, basketball, horse racing and many more. Just log on to 1xbet.ng to register and make you no forget to use the promo code RadioWin to get 200% bonus on top your first deposit. 1xBet, bets for every taste.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ojúlówó Nasco cornflakes kún fún èròjà tí ń ṣara lóore tó dára nítorí wípé Old Flaked cornflakes náà ni. Old Flaked cornflakes ní apilẹ̀ṣe ní ìlànà tí gbogbo èròjà ṣara lóore inú rẹ̀ ò fi lè yingin. Oúnjẹ aṣara lóore ni, adùn inú rẹ̀ àfẹnuwó, ó sì dára fún gbogbo ẹbí. Nítorí náà, tí àtijẹ cornflakes bá dé, rí i dájú pé Old Flaked Nasco cornflakes ló yàn láàyò. Oúnjẹ aládùn tó dára ní gbogbo ìgbà.
What are you looking for? The experience of a lifetime? Front row seats?
Game time!
To rub shoulders with the best in the world?
Ronaldo! Oh my goodness me!
And to witness 24 teams battle it out for the ultimate prize.
Hey, my people! Euro 2020 don't land for your domos. Watch all the games live and get better enjoyment on Super Sports Channel 32 from 11 June to 11 July. Make una no miss any of Euro 2020 matches though. Get your own GoTV decoder plus GoTenna. Make you enjoy 1 month max subscription for just 9,500 naira. Enter the home of football. GoTV. Love it.
You can rest assured we will take this jolly ride with you. Our bet is on you, 'cause you are a winner. We'll win with you. We'll run with you all the way. We'll share your dreams and we'll turn them to
tomorrow.
Big protein breakfast àṣírí ibẹ̀ nìyẹn. Bí ìyá mi máa ṣe ń jí láfẹ̀mọ́jú, wọ́n á ṣe oúnjẹ fún wa kí wọ́n tó sáré lọ sí ibi iṣẹ́. Lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà, bàbá wa máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ dalẹ́. Wọ́n sì tún jí lówùúrọ̀ láti gbé mi lọ sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́. Kò wá sí bó ṣe lè di gádígádí tó. Kì í rìn wọ́n láti máa bá mi ṣeré. Ìdí ìrètí wọn kì í kúrò nílé láì jẹ big protein breakfast.
Bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọjọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú oúnjẹ òwúrọ̀ tó kún fún big protein amárata kébé. Pig, rich for your pig.
It is time for celebration. Oh. 30 years bustling with goodness. Eh. No challenge can ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate it. Bustling with so much greatness. Enjoy our world of
Attain the knowledge you require to join the broadcasting industry. Splash FM Media Academy offers premium training to both aspiring and practicing personalities. And enroll now at Splash FM Media Academy for a certificate of proficiency in broadcast journalism. Splash FM Media Academy courses include Introduction to Presentation, Basic Production, Digital Media, Yoruba Presentation, plus interactive practical mentorship session with veterans and industrial placement. To register, visit the Splash FM Media Academy beside White House, Felele, Ibadan. You can also register online at splashfm1055.com/academy or call 0705-439-3332. Visit our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Splash FM Academy for more details. Realize your potential and pursue a career in radio broadcasting today. Splash FM Media Academy, preserving media integrity.
Don't worry, Ma. He'll be home on time, just like his dad.
Are you sure?
Yes, Ma. I'm cooking their favorite jollof with Sonia tomato mix. They are here.
Hey, is the jollof ready?
See? Right on time.
Your loved ones will always rush home for tasty meals prepared with Sonia tomato mix.
Mommy, the jollof is yummy.
I wouldn't miss this jollof for anything.
It's so good eating together with a family.
Yes, Ma. All thanks to Sonia.
Sonia tomato mix brings you together. Proudly Nigerian.
All right, welcome back. It's still Economic Searchlight on Splash 105.5 FM. Now, one intervention by the government about the economy was the Economic Sustainability Plan. And they said the Economic Sustainability Plan will monitor implementation of the plan while the Vice President will regularly brief the President on the progress made. The Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan, approved by the Federal Executive Council, FEC, on June 24, 2020, was developed by the Economic Sustainability Committee, ESC, established by President Buhari on March 30, 2020. Chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the ESC comprised several cabinet ministers. Still on the implementation of the NESP, the inputs from stakeholders were integrated in the conception and design of the plan. The NESP has been developed as a 12-month, 2.3 trillion naira transit plan between the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP, and the successor plan to the ERGP, which is currently in development. So let's listen to what Ajuri Ngelale. Ajuri Ngelale is a senior special advisor, assistant to the president on public affairs. Here's what he said about the 2.3 trillion naira NESP.
Following our recent attainment of enhanced GDP growth to the tune of about 0.5%, which of course we're looking at now multiplying even further, the 2.3 trillion naira Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan is moving deeper into implementation across sectors, of course, with solar power and electric power generation, of course, with housing, and then, of course, with direct MSME support interventions. On the MSME front, we're happy to report that over 265,000 Nigerians have been paid under the Artisan and Transport Workers Support Track, where we've provided them with operations grants of about 30,000 naira each to support their operations during this difficult period. We're currently paying 459,300 Nigerians under the payroll support track of the Survival Fund under the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan. That's going on very well. We're separately from that, we're providing 44,500 Nigerian MSME owners with one-time 50,000 naira MSME grants, which is really going a long way in terms of ensuring that they have the support that they need to keep their operations going through a difficult period. And this is not including whatever interventions are going to be sought by them through the Bank of Industry and others, where they can get single-digit interest loan facilities. Furthermore, we've also focused on the informal economic sector by ensuring that MSMEs that have not formally registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission now have an opportunity to have their businesses registered and have those businesses registered free of charge, at least free of charge for them. The federal government of Nigeria, through this, through the Economic Sustainability Plan, through the Survival Fund in particular, has already registered 202,500 business names on behalf of informal MSMEs across all states of the Federation. And that's something that we're very excited about. And that's an ongoing process. And already the Central Bank of Nigeria, under the housing component of the NESP, has made available the 200 billion naira facility for drawdown to commence funding the housing project, in which we are constructing 300,000 houses across all states of the Federation. So that is very much on course, with states, most states of the Federation already having provided the land for that purpose. And then, of course, under the Solar Niger program, where we are providing electricity access to 5 million households, serving about 25 million Nigerians across rural Nigeria, we've already rolled out about 100,000 units across the country in our partnership with A Solar electrical engineering. So there's really quite a lot to look forward to. We still have a long way to go, but our focus is on making sure that we create these jobs, really mitigate the damaging impact of the pandemic on the economic recovery in the country, and ensuring that all Nigerians have equal access to these dividends of democracy that the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is making available to them.
That was Ajuri Ngelale right there speaking about the sustainability plan and how people have actually enjoyed it and what they have next on it. All right, so I better move on to Alex Oti right now, and then what you get to hear from Alex Oti are some of the plans that Nigeria can move into when it comes to the sustainability of the sector of economy, particularly agriculture. You have to listen to this one.
The federal government at coupon rates of between 12 and 14% per annum. So the argument here is that if the government is borrowing and the risk-free rate is 14%, then there is no incentive for the banker to lend to anybody else. And the Debt Management Office has just released a figure that shows that the government has ramped up its debt again to over $22 billion. So that is something to worry about. So the crowding out effect happens even to the large-scale farmers whose operations are more efficient. Discrimination against bigger farmers discourages such operators from expansion and the application of increasingly advanced technology in the farmyard production process, while at the same time encouraging smallholders to remain pint-sized and risky. The dilemma creates challenges that could be avoided if government's fiscal policy sees beyond subsistence farming to a broader agricultural culture that deliberately links farmers together in a social arrangement that makes everybody better off. A start by this arrangement occurred as far back as 1960, when farmers in the old western region of Nigeria, under Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the then premier, were organized into cooperatives, which served as the primary units of production. The arrangement proved successful, both economically and socially. Farmers became rich, the regional government earned more money through taxes, prompting the building of institutions such as the Liberty Stadium, Ibadan, the Cocoa House, also in Ibadan, the Western Nigeria radio and television stations, and several industrial and housing estates, not to talk of the sterling efforts at free and compulsory education in the Western region at that time. Now let's look at the problems, solutions, and then prospects. Starting with the problem, the local agricultural sector is beset with a myriad of problems. The principal ones include, but are not limited to, the following: small and fractionalized land ownership. Absence of title to cultivated land. Most of these lands are inherited or purchased under agreements that have no formal legal backing. Poor yield per hectare, lean financial capital, poor farmer education and training, poor seed variety and cultivation practices, poor storage capacity, poor transportation infrastructure, increasing rural-urban migration, poor access to finance, limited knowledge or use of emerging technology, poor marketing, sales and distribution systems, weak value chain development, and so on and so forth. Now, what are the solutions? There are specific solutions to the problems enumerated above, but the following are broader solutions with more radical outcomes. 1. Agriculture as a means of promoting growth and development is overrated. Indeed, what spurred Europe and America out of Malthusian population trap was not necessarily growth in agriculture, but improvement in technology and the rearrangement of agricultural management and ownership. In England, for example, serfs or workers became owners. Laws of several minors were forced to permit workers to own land, either outright or for a fee that represented periodic rent payment for land use. But beyond the change in the character of ownership was improvement in technology, which increased yield per hectare, freeing labor to go into other equally productive ventures in manufacturing, fabrication, commerce, and consequently improving the marginal productivity of both labor and capital. The policy of encouraging more people into agriculture creates a situation where one, marginal productivity of labor falls. Two, marginal productivity of land declines as a result of overuse. Three, agricultural incomes per hectare fall as lower marginal productivity results in lower yields per hectare of land and lower incomes per farm worker. Two, the huge growth in Nigeria's population prompts more than passing concern about economic and social sustainability. Nigeria's population is estimated to be a monthly 198 million people. This population is estimated to be growing at about 3%, like we had said earlier. This means that in 20 years, Nigeria's population will be closer to 376 million people, or what amounts to a population larger than that of the United States of America today. Will drawing more people at the nature, or more accurately, farms, guarantee food sustainability over the next few decades? That's the question. I do not think so. So the question is, throwing more people at nature or farms, will it guarantee food sustainability over the next few decades? And I dare say no. You are free to disagree. In 20 years, if Nigeria does not ramp up to agricultural production, it will most certainly end up a basket case of economic and social failure.
You just listen to Alex Oti, Dr. Alex Oti right there, talking about our agriculture. And so from agriculture, because we're looking at the economy as a whole, we'll move on to the financial sector. And so I will be speaking with someone who will help us also make sense yet again on the issue about the financial sector. Last week, we were talking about the CBN, dealing with Naira and moving Naira a bit into some realistic value. And so I will be speaking with Professor Uche Waleke, a financial economist and President, Association of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria. Professor Waleke, welcome to Splash FM this morning. Hello, Prof. Hello, sir. Are you there? All right, I guess he's back on the line. Prof, good morning, sir. Okay, this is here. I think let me check this one and see if we can put him there. All right, so Prof, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. So, last week we were discussing the issue about the Naira. the current decision of the CBN to adopt the NAFEX for the value of the naira and the exchange rate, how would you assess it? I know some time ago you said the valuation of naira 2020 that it was too early for CBN to devalue the naira, moving it to 360 naira to $1. So, what's your assessment of this adoption of NAFEX now? Before we look at the implication on the economy.
Well, I'll start by saying that there's no doubt that any measure that in foreign inflows, and of course also stabilize the prices generally, because that's the primary mandate of the central bank. And any such measure is welcome. So, as you know, before now, the central bank has been under pressure, in quotes, to literally float the naira in the name of liberalizing the forex market. Such that forex market will be process of demand and supply, determine the exchange rate. But of course, we have a peculiar situation in this country where the supply is quite in shortage. The bulk of what we get by way of foreign exchange comes from oil. And then that is one sector where you have had a lot of, volatility. So my position has been to, yes, while we support the move to realign the multiple exchange rates because of the distortion that is causing the economy, the uncertainties is also causing the economy. The fact that it's also helping to fuel corruption, round tripping, and all that. Yes, that should be supported. But I was particularly concerned about the timing. Okay, the economy has just exited recession. Growth is still weak. The last figure we have is 0.5%. Percent. So you could say growth is still weak, and inflation is still high at over 18%. Food inflation is even over 22%. So I am of the opinion that that this kind of measure, could have waited until we get to a reasonable level of economic growth. The inflation will have probably come down to levels that are probably manageable, by the central bank before taking up this other one. So the adjustment of the exchange rate upwards to meet the NAFEX rate is intended to. The intention is to attract diaspora remittances, to attract forex inflows. If you notice, in recent times, the central bank has been concerned about diaspora remittances, how to incentivize it, which was why it introduced the naira for dollar policy. Is it right?
Yes, very good. 5 naira to $1, yes.
Yes, but if you look at the global situation now, the world is still reeling from the impact of COVID. Yes, some economies are recovering, but we also know that some parts of the world, India, Brazil, are still battling with it. Even the US and UK have not yet completely, combated it. And that's why, in my view, if you are adjusting the exchange rate, if you are devaluing the naira because you expect to get inflows now, it may not come. These inflows may not come now because the people that are expected to bring in these inflows are not yet ready to do so. Yes, they are still facing challenges in their various economies. So I don't see diaspora remittances. I don't see these inflows increasing significantly until we have had some reasonable stability in the global economy. Okay, so that has not happened. And back home, you look at where inflation rate is very high. By the time you devalue the value of the naira, you of course you know the implications. The major reason I've always said we can defy it is the fact that a substantial part of the demand of forex, comes by way of demand to import fuel.
Mm-hmm.
We are importing fuel in this country, and because we are importing fuel in this country, and before now, fuel import has been done at 379 naira to the dollar. That's at the official rate, 379.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see where pump price is. Even at the current pump price, we are told that there is subsidy. Government is subsidizing, okay, because of the rising crude oil prices. Crude oil price today is around $72 per barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So the more crude oil price rise, the more we have need to subsidize pump price of fuel. Okay, yes. So city is also borrowing so much into the coffers of the government. It hasn't been easy for government to continue to subsidize, and government cannot afford to say, okay, let's remove our hands completely and let the marketers increase prices. Okay, now that you are devaluing the naira, it now means that fuel imports will be done at 410 or 412 naira instead of 379 naira. Okay, so what it means is that you expect to also see a very high, jump in the pump price of fuel. I'm sure you read recently where the governors forum, gave their consent that the pump price of fuel should be, subsidy should be removed completely, and pump price of fuel should increase. And people have been talking about figures in the region of above 300 naira, per liter. So these are some of the consequences of devaluing the naira. And another argument for the devaluation or the adjustment was that it was going to close the gap between the NAFEX rate, that's the autonomous foreign exchange market rate, which is the investors and exporters window, and the parallel market rate, black market rate. But has that happened? That has not happened, and I doubt if it is going to happen anytime soon. The black market rate, instead of even adjusting downwards, we are now witnessing is further, shifting outward. Okay, from 480 naira, we hear of 485, 490.
495. Even yesterday, 495.
495 naira to the dollar. So you can see. So the more you move the goalpost, okay, the more the black market so rests by moving theirs, and that's because of again the activities of speculators that you cannot completely exclude, from the whole equation, because the more you devalue, the more you send out a signal that there is shortage in forex. That is why you're devaluing, and when you send out that signal, you will see people who will want to panic and buy to keep, because they also think that the naira will further be devalued. So you see this sort of destabilizing speculation that happens, because people always think that because you have done it once, you will always do it again, and so they want to begin to buy dollars as a store of value. They will begin to buy dollars, to also use to speculate and trade. People are trading in dollars now. People are holding dollars now, and because they think that the naira will further be devalued, so the currency will further weaken. So these are my concerns about what happened. I am not saying it shouldn't happen. The IMF has always said, the multiple exchange rate should be collapsed. But I am saying for a country like Nigeria, given our peculiar situation, is something that we have to handle with tact. And that tact means we time it in such a way that maybe we have, with this year, for example, the government expects the economy to grow, IMF rather, expect the economy to grow by 2.5%.
2.5%, yes.
In fact, the government in the budget is even expecting it to grow by 3%. That's what we'll have in the 2021 budget. So, assuming we attain those targets. Let us even say we get 2.5% by the end of the year. And by next year, maybe we have an improvement. And by next year too, we hope and pray that insecurity in the country will have been addressed, and farmers are able to go to their farms, and food output, we're able to improve on food output. Then inflation rate is expected to come down. If inflation rate comes down, significantly, and you have a certain level of traction in economic activities, the economy is growing, inflation rate is coming down, then you can now chip in these reforms.
Okay.
That's my
I could tell you that I enjoyed every bit of the moment I spent here and your explanation. But before I close this one, because of my time, just in 30 seconds or 1 minute, can you help us? How will this also affect those who are sending money home? You mentioned the diaspora remittances. Some of them have been complaining that it's now been difficult for them to now be able to send money even home.
No, I think the reverse should be the case. If you devalue your currency, it should serve as an incentive for somebody outside to bring money home. That's even the intention. But I'm saying that many people out there may not be in a position to do that because the economy in economies of those countries are still
still very fragile.
So it should be the reverse. If you are living in the US, for example, and the naira is devalued, okay, the $1 you would have spent in the US, you will now think of sending it home and using it to do something. So it is actually meant to bring in diaspora remittances and encourage foreign inflows. But that's the major advantage. That's the major incentive that it has. And central bank also thinks that all of that will help our balance of payments, situation, and then eventually the naira will appreciate. But I'm saying that the timing is the issue I have with it. It may not really happen. The naira for dollar policy, for example, that the central bank introduced, is also meant to do that, reduce the cost of sending money. But we are yet to get an update, regarding the impact of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is not,
successful,
even the desired result as fast as central bank expect, because again of global conditions that we'll have out there. If people are having difficulty sending money through formal channels, I'm sure too a number of them will want to send through informal channels. If they see people who are traveling home, or they may want to say, go and give this $10 or $20 to somebody because they know that that dollar will now command more value in Nigeria. The naira has been devalued. Yes. So informal channels, yes, of course, they are still there. People may want to continue to do that, but we may not see. But if you look at if you weigh it on balance, the advantages and disadvantages, you find out that the disadvantages of doing that now, will outweigh the merits. Yeah, inflation rate is likely to rise, to go further. Even social on people, the hardship, is likely to go up. Because we are expecting a hike in electricity tariff. Remember, we are expecting a hike in pump price
of petrol. And that will spike up the inflation as well.
The inflation and poverty rate will increase. Ministry index will increase.
And ministry index will also increase. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Professor Uche Uwaleke, financial economist and president, Association of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria. Thank you for speaking with us on Splash FM today.
My pleasure, Shola.
I appreciate you. Bye. Have a wonderful day. Bye. All right, that was Professor Uche Uwaleke, financial economist. He's also the president, Association of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria. We'd like to thank him for speaking with us on Economic Searchlight today. That's it. That's the offering on the program. You've heard him. Very, very valid issues raised concerning the decision of the central bank and also the nature of our economy. Join me next week, Friday, when I bring you another perspectives towards the economy on Splash 105.5. I'm Oluwaseun Omakiola. If you want to reach out to me, I'm on Twitter at Seun Omakiola, at Seun Omakiola. 0811-2494-231. That's the number you can call or send me a message. Desmond Adeboyega, thank you for your assistance. Good morning and have a wonderful Friday.